The Old School Rewind Podcast. The podcast about breakdance music.
So why is it got to be so damn tough?
Hip-hop and old school. The roots of electronic music. The Roland 808 and Freestyle. This is the Old School Rewind with Randy Bubba Black on the Podcaster Online Network, Facebook.com. Search Old School Rewind and subscribe now at iTunes with all links at oldschoolrewind.com.
Stevie B, the king of freestyle, is on the rewind.
Say one for the trouble, two for the time. Come on, y'all, let's...
Hey, thanks again for hitting subscribe, review, and share on iTunes and Stitcher, now on the iHeart app for the Old School Rewind. It's easy to find where the podcast keep in focus on the golden age of hip-hop. You'll be able to find show transcripts soon at oldschoolrewind.com. Keep checking back. Let's get into the weekend and go freestyle with the king, Stevie B. I'm going to go down on one knee because the Old School Rewind studio today, look who is, I got to pick up the crown. I got crowns up on the shelf, and we delve them out to the kings of the formats in freestyle. There's one king, and Stevie B, you're probably too gracious, but can I place this crown upon your head and call you the king of freestyle music?
Well, I'll accept that crown just with a side order of humble pie, and, it's an honor and a blessing to still be around after all these years, and I accept the position.
Thank you. I appreciate it. And thank you for giving us all the great music that you gave us in the mid to late 80s. I know you've been doing music for ever since. Your discography runs well into the 2000s. For me and my show's purposes, we study the mid 80s. And of course, we'll talk about the latter part of your career, what you've been up to. But we really want to look at those important songs that people hear. And me being in California, San Jose is right around the corner. KMEL, Hot 97. I believe without those two stations in the West Coast, things might have been a little bit more difficult for you. I don't know if that's true or not. Could you have gotten away with Florida without California in those days?
No, I don't think you could have gotten away with without having any of those things that helped us in that original smile, which was Florida, Louisiana, Texas, Arizona, coming all the way over to
New Mexico,
to California.
Yeah, right.
Yeah, New Mexico. Not that I'm not not missing anybody, trying to miss anybody, but that was the run, and it caught on in those communities first, and of course, New York was already underway with some of the other acts, but you're right, California was a major part of what eventually happened for us, and still today, it's still relevant, and we still do just great numbers within the California community.
So you are credited with moving from New York, the dance hip-hop movement, down to Miami.
Well, it did start in New York with Shannon and all the groups that started up north, and I just took it up a notch, and that's what you want to do. You want to be able to augment. We're all just playing in the music of life, and hopefully when we get here, we can just add something to it. So, with that being said, I thought I could add something to a brand that was just coming in, and I said, I saw opening in TKAs, and it seemed like it attracted me, and then it kept me in there for a long time. For a long time, I just thought it would just be some one-offs. So I said, I got a pretty good record. It'll be over, and I kind of kept my day job, kind of thing, So then I had a second one and a third one, then began to make some decent money, and and eventually I just admitted that maybe this might be my calling, and here we are, 30 years later.
I wanna be the one to give in your
What kind of music would you have wanted to do if you hadn't have fell into freestyle? How did it turn into freestyle?
Well, I didn't kind of emulate anybody. I was just in here working out, and I was listening to from the Mamas and the Papas.
All the leaves are brown, and the sky is gray. Knows I'm gonna stay. California, California, dreaming of such a winter's day.
To Bette Midler.
Did you ever know that you're my hero? And everything I would like to be.
To everything, and just let me know that all of those artists who were making offerings
You are the wind beneath my wings.
during my upbringing had a major effect on me, and I was fortunate enough to have the appetite for all types of music. I was never just closed-minded on anything, and I listened to James Taylor.
You can play the game and you can act out the part, though you know it wasn't written for you. But tell me, how can you stand there with your broken heart, ashamed of playing the fool? Shower the people you love with love, show them the way that you feel. Things are gonna work out fine if you only will.
Country music.
I am a lineman for the county, and I drive the main road, searching in the sun for another overload.
Soul music. I grew up on Aretha Franklin. And those artists evidently had a profound effect on me, because when I began to write, I could hear overtones of them coming out in the final product, the harmonies that I use, the 3-part harmonies, the 4-part harmonies, and how I wanted to color some of my music. Eventually, those artists actually influenced me in a big, big way. And I don't know if I wanted to do any particular type of music, but I did want to make good songs. And I thought that I was just really just trying to do music at first. And then all of a sudden, the freestyle thing hit with the beats. I think the beats hit me first. And I said, wow, listen to this production. Let's listen to these beats. It affected me. And I guess that blood, that Middle Eastern blood and the Jewish blood and all that bloodline of DNA affected me. And then I said, well, let me just write about some things that I think are cool. And, and eventually it turned into I Need You, that I did with a group called BVS&P, which was one of my first productions. And then, of course, in my own stuff, it eventually appeared in the way I wrote, and it's the way I feel now today. I kind of don't like to do crappy music. I like to do stuff that people can hold on to and carry it in the future with them. And then hopefully 20, 30 years from now, people will look back and say, hey, let me go grab a piece of my experience or my childhood or adulthood. You know, normally we associate smells and tastes and music to correlate with our life's experience. And that's why I say, you know, music is the soundtrack of our life. But I was just listening to the Beatles right now, and it really took me back to when I was 6 years old, 7 years old. So hopefully I could have that kind of effect on people for the future. And hopefully as long as this world is here, a Stevie B song will be played every day, all day.
Stevie, were you playing are you a piano player by nature first?
You know, I started off, with doing a digital production first on piano. And I think that was the center of how we started to produce the digital music. And I guess percussions was my first thing. You know, I wanted to be a drummer, but I just wasn't good enough. And then I picked up percussions, and then of course picked up a little piano, and then I started writing, little small stuff for myself.
808, Roland 808.
No doubt about it.
First drum machine?
No doubt about it. It's the king. It's the king. Nothing ever compared, not even samples that they're doing now of it. It just does not have that same original 808. They say that it does, but, you know. Well, and I hear the stuff that's out there today, and the sub stuff is good, but a lot of that is manipulated also. But I love that 808.
Was that the first drum machine you ever had?
That is the first drum machine that I ever had, yes.
How did you finance yourself to buy drum machines and gear?
Well, you know, my first business, before I was Stevie B, I was an entrepreneur. I mean, I had window tinting shops, stereo places, and eventually I lived in South Florida, so I opened up a lawn service. And I had a pretty successful lawn service at that, and it kept me in shape. It kept me energized. And, you know, when I finished up my yards during the week, I would always just go to the studio, stay there for about 1 o'clock in the morning. Then, of course, I had to be back up around 6 to get an early start, because I was doing maybe 10, 12 yards a day. So, and of course, I had workers and stuff like that helping me knock them out. But, you know, it takes that kind of energy. But that helped finance my first studio, and you know, eventually I was able, after maybe 1 or 2 singles, to kind of let that go.
Latin hip hop. Do you know of a Latin hip hop anything before you moved down into Miami, or are you the front of Latin hip hop?
No, I don't know if I'm, you know, in the front of it. You know, you had Planet Patrol and Soul Sonic Force. All of that was the original, I guess what you would call hip hop, Sugar Hill Gang. All of that original stuff influenced us. And then, of course, we started to put production on top of those, what they call a Planet Rock beat. And then we added in a lot of those flavors. When you live around those cultures, there's always going to be a fusion of things. And I think we do that in the hopes that we don't leave anybody out. So you say, hey, I'm in Miami. I know Cubans live here. I know African Americans live here. I know whites live here. I know everybody. So when you're making, or it's sort of like cooking for everybody, and you're trying to satisfy them all, and you're saying, okay, well, you know, let's add some of this and add some of that. Let's put a little Miami Sound Machine kind of thing in there, and blah, 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 you know. And eventually it you know, coagulates into some kind of, you know, nice little guacamole there. You know what I mean?
Your nationalities, is Latino part of it?
Latino would be a part of it because, you know, in my DNA is, of course, from Iberia, which is Spain, Portugal, down to all the Mediterranean, Middle East.
Hang on, Stevie. Shout out to the Azores. All right, go ahead, man.
All to the Azores. You got to do a shout out to Portugal. Tem que falar com eles. And then, you know, of course, the spiritual side of what I do probably came down through, you know, my Jewish blood and the African side with those rhythms and all that deep stuff came down through my family who came through Nigeria. So I have a pretty good mix of DNA in me, and I think those genes just, you know, unfolded once I got into the environment where I could kind of express myself.
Pump up the party, pump up the party, pump up the party. Now damn!
Tell me about the first single Hassan put out.
Pump up the party. 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 Now damn.
Well, you know, the Hassan was one of my names that I used to do a project, and the Pump Up the Party was a project that Tolga, my original producer, did in Miami. Tolga's from Turkey, and we wanted to do just a little project. We were in the studio, and I had that beat, so I said, "Man, I could work that beat," you know, and you know, just kind of people in there we were just having fun, and that's what, you know, it was a name other than Stevie B that I could use to still kind of express myself without being locked into what the label may have wanted for me. I think a lot of times the worst part of being a recording artist is that we can't continue the episodes. I love the Netflix series because now, you know, you can just do idea after idea after idea, and you don't have to stop. And I think recording artists are like that today. You know, fans are hungry. They're hungry for the way you express yourself, your ideas, your experiences, and that goes to show you what's going on with the Kardashians or any one of these reality shows.
Catch Me Outside, how about that?
Catch Me Outside, how about that? So people want that. I mean, there's an audience for it. So I wasn't able to put out as much music as I wanted to, and I had, like I said, I had all of these protons and electrons working around in my brain, and they wanted to speak out. So Hassan was one of those things that I could do without stepping on Stevie B's toes, and then, you know, I could produce other artists. Many other songs. I produced quite a bit of stuff.
On Hassan. Was Hassan pre-MIDI?
No. It was MIDI, and it was when MIDI was first kicking in, when we had, we call, I guess you would say yes, because that was, we had SMPTE code. And the SMPTE code was a tone that used to come out of the 808 that we can go, and we used to
go to a cassette, like fax noise to a cassette.
That's right. So that noise would go to one of the tracks, and I only had an 8-track machine back then because that's all we could afford, just an 8-track tape machine. And we would record one of those, and then that tone would sync up all of the other machines. So I guess you would say it was a little bit pre-MIDI, but we fell right into MIDI. Maybe, I mean, the technology just expanded from there, and then a year or so later, MIDI was in full control, and then we were able to lock unlimited machines after that.
What year was Hassan?
Hassan was probably, I'm going to say, 87.
Okay, and let me ask you this.
86, 87.
I hear a stab of what sounds like Technotronic in that song. Did they grab from you? Did you grab from them, or is that a sample I completely don't know about?
You know, I can't remember. That might have been yes. That might have been a couple of pieces of stuff that we were grabbing in those days. And it may have been. You talk about stuff that
I got you.
Talk about
I know,
30,
Stevie. I
30
know.
years ago. You know,
I feel you.
You know, I can't. You know.
MC Zeus produced that.
No.
Oh, did he DJ? Did he do something? Nothing. I saw a name on
that
I saw
track?
the name on the label.
No, MC Zeus was one of my artists, and he actually helped participate in the song.
Gotcha. Hey,
He was one of the guys that, who's rocking his dog out? Whoo, 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 whoo.
gotcha.
That he was one of the ones in my camp, and eventually he went on to have his own deal. If you go online and look up MC Zeus, Chicken Head, and I went ahead and he had a deal on LMR with me, and we did a full album on him. You know, unfortunately, his career didn't go further than that, but he was right in that LL Cool J line. You know, kind of tall, good-looking African-American kid, has swag about him, and he definitely had skills, no doubt about that.
Your first album is the first single, Part of Your Body.
Yes.
Similar to Pump Up the Party?
No, not even, just two different meals. It's just two different offerings. The Part of Your Body came maybe, I'm going to say, a year and a half, because I had another studio, so that's what gives me the timeline on that. I did that in my Lauderdale studio, and Pump Up the Party was done in not in Davie, and off of Sample Road up there. I'll remember the city in a few, Coral Springs. So, Party Your Body was sort of a song that I carried on before I met Tolga, and then when I met him, he is the one, him and PJ, took me into the digital world. And this was that. Now, I Need You, if you look up BVS&P, that was pre-MIDI for me. And then when I met Tolga, we went on ahead to do all of the Party Your Body stuff. And they sent me to another dimension, another level of production. They showed me a world that I'm like, I can't believe, because before that, we would have to go get musicians. I have to go get a player and do this, and they have to have instruments and that kind of stuff. But once we got into the keyboards and the drum machines, and they showed me how to lock it in, that just expanded my mind more than the mushrooms, my friend.
Which part of your line did those mushrooms come from? Hey, was it somewhere elegant?
It was very, very elegant, I can tell you. So.
That's the prettier, sunnier, happier music right there. Party Your Body. What's it mean to you?
I think that, we're down in Miami. All of this Miami Sound Machine was going on. Everything was Miami Deco. It was that atmosphere. It was in the air. It was on the radio. It was everything about Miami. It was about the drug scene that was down there at the time, the weed and the cocaine, and everybody was up and everybody was happy. And I'm telling you, South Florida was on fire. So it sort of birthed me. It's everything that I was listening to. And once I heard, I think I might have heard the Shannon, Let the Music Play. I heard One Way Love by TKA.
Sure.
And I'm like, shit, I could do that. Because you remember you asked me, did I know if I had my preference, what music would I have done? Well, I wasn't going to do R&B because I wasn't an R&B singer. I didn't have that soulful kind of thing. I knew I could probably carry a note, but I didn't know how well. I knew early on in my life that I probably would be in this business because I had a little karaoke turntable with a little microphone on it, and I used to sing Smokey Robinson songs. But of course, I didn't know what lane it would eventually catapult me in. But once I heard, quote unquote, the Latin hip hop, which was the original name, which is called Freestyle now, I said, I can do that. I can do that. They weren't the best singers, but they weren't the worst singers. It sort of kind of reminded me of folk music, Bob Dylan and all them. They had a feel more so than they had technical skills. And I said, well, wow, I can fit in here if that was going to work. And once I did Party Your Body, and I saw the parties that was going on, I said, let me just do something that everybody can throw their hands up and wave and have fun. And so basically it was sort of like, baile del cuerpo.
I go to KWIN Radio. That's Stockton, California. You might be familiar with it.
I know KWIN very well. I know John Christian. I know everybody down there. I know the whole history.
In 1987, it was a Rock 40 station. So everything was Def Leppard and all the hair band stuff was starting out. And then Supersonic and Push It came. Mm-hmm. And I was allowed to do a Saturday night mix show from then on. I opened it with Push It, I opened with Eric B. and Rakim. And the Push Its and the Supersonics and Stevie B got in on the Saturday night mix on the mix show on KWIN. You brought up color, and we had artists that were Hispanic and not black, but the general managers were like, we're going to put that black music on the air. And they're talking about Swing Out Sister, Breakout, and Sweet Sensation. We were like, you know, we've got stations in all 3 of the top 40s in Sacramento, KSFM, Quad, 97 Croy when it was there. And then we, of course, had KMEL and Hot 97 in San Jose. Well, right here, we're not going to be able to keep everything inside. We can see that it's starting to bubble out and that my mix show starts becoming real popular. There was a race.
Game changer.
There was a race thing going on. And you're telling me that you realized that that was going on. And that's pretty keen of you because I don't think a lot of people realized it.
Well, I experienced the race thing pretty much all my life. Once I got into the inner workings or try to get an understanding of the inner workings of why music was separated in races. You know, you had R&B music, then you had country, and everybody was sort of like where we are now. Everything is divided, red and blue and purple and whatever they want to be. Instead of saying, you know, this is a meal that everybody can enjoy. Black people like rock and roll, and rock and roll is like soul music, and music is that thing that transcends race. It really does. When I did the song Because I Love You, and it was a hit everywhere, it wasn't a hit everywhere. And I was wondering, well, then why won't they play it on VH1 and all this, you know? It dawned on me.
That was the white and black thing back then. VH1 was really white.
It was. And we were hurting a lot of labels and radio stations that had investments too, because, you know, I understand how radio worked at the time with the payola stuff. So people were invested. Those rock bands were heavily invested in millions and millions of dollars, tours, merchandising, publishing, radio stations. And
once somebody does a deal to get a song on the air, you're on it for the life of the record until it either stiffs or continues to be a hit.
That's right. So imagine, you know, I'm up against Bette Midler, Elton John, Whitney Houston, the heaviest hitters. So when it was time to put this little lawn guy from South Florida in rotation, and they're like, who the hell is he? Who's behind him? What's up with that? And he don't fit our profile. The money at the time was available. I was with some of the richest people in the world, which is the Lefrak family out of New York. So the money was not the issue. The issue was, like it is today, very profoundly, there are still people that don't accept other human beings to be on this planet. They don't. And that's just the way that is. What's happening right now, there's a judgment going on. There's a judgment in the universe. And the universe is leaning us towards saying, look, you guys have reached a pinnacle here, and something has to change, and it will change. Something is going to happen, and that's coming from the heart of Stevie B. That's what I felt, and that's what I feel. Something is going to happen I think that we've reached a limit worldwide. This is worldwide. And either the universe is going to send us something that is going to devastate us, and it's going to be for the worse. It's going to get worse before it gets better, and eventually it'll smooth out. One thing about the universe, it's in balance. So no matter how much blood you think is being shed, how much hurt that you think is being imposed on the people, Mother Universe knows how to take care of her business. She knows how to take care of her business. You don't think those 5 hurricanes coming in a row meant something? They meant something. But people they can't see those things, and they don't have the time because their head is stuck in their iPad and iPhone. They don't know how to read those signs. And wisdom teaches you this in time, that you're able to see. And if you're connected with Mother Nature, and this is where, you know, the marijuana and all that, you got the medicine that now is it not 10 years ago, this is unbelievable. You would never think that things would become legal like that. And then there's other medications that Mother sends us also. You know, and you know, people don't understand those things that, you know, those pine cones come off the Christmas tree. They don't know what's under the pine cones coming out the ground. So, those are the messages, and those that are wise know what those meanings are. They know what those medications are to get us back aligned again. And I think the world needs to take about 2.5 of some fucking psilocybin, and I think the whole world will be okay.
Can I go 1.5, man? You call it psilocybin, maybe only a gram for me.
Okay, but it's according to how courageous you are, you know?
Prettier, sunnier, happier.
We're on the same page.
Dreaming of Love, your second single after Part of Your Body.
that was written in New York City in a hotel. At some point, I was so busy in New York that we all moved up to New York.
Tolga, are you guys writing partners together, or is he strictly someone you see in the studio? Are you friends? How's your relationship?
All of those. I mean, he was living in Vegas as of 2 months ago, and he just went up to Salt Lake City. We're still in contact. I talked with him last week. We're still in contact.
Where's Leave It All Behind in the chronological order of singles? Is he after you?
No, he did that at my studio.
Okay.
That was done during the Party About It time. Tolga had his own career. He wanted to be a rocker first. And I had the drum machine, and Tolga had an Emax on the desk, and he played me the track. So, just went over there and sat on the bed, and probably within 30 minutes, that song was written. The music talks to you. It tells you what it needs and what it wants. The magic is already in there if you really just listen to it. And people that are musicians and writers, it's a spiritual rhythm. It's a rhythm. It's a sound. It's a melody. And our job is to embellish. And then I went in and said, I don't know happened to the love we share. Don't go. One thing led to another, and that's the song that literally got me my deal. Because at that point, I only had a single deal with Party About It. That's all the label would give me at the time. They didn't really believe. But they said, okay, we'll do a single. I said, okay, you want to do a single? I'll show you something. And then after I did that, we put it on a cassette, and I ran around, and the label was right around the corner. And once I played them that single, it was over. They said, okay, you got an album. Let's go. And I got my album deal from that single.
Hey, it was over for me going, whoa, my favorite Stevie B song is Spring Love. I mean, to this day, man.
There's a story behind that, and they can get it in my book. I have an audio book that's in the it's in the Google Play and the App Store. It's called Journey of the Perfect Man. And I do an audio book, tell the story of my whole life, literally as we're talking right now, like we're talking. And I said, I don't want anybody else to do my audio book. We have the technology today, with these apps, and I'll tell my own story, and people won't be able to fudge the story. It'll come right from me. They say, Stevie said that, and that's what we don't have. We don't even have that in the Bible. We don't have that in the Quran or in the Vedas or anything like that. But you're getting my story from me. You want to hear what happened to me? You want to hear about me? You go to my book. You go to my audio book, and you hear it from my heart, and that'll live on, forever. So that particular song set it off for me, being convincing to the label at the time that I was possibly the real deal, and here we are, 30 years later.
It started appearing in daytime playlists, though. It might not have been the numbers you like, but you started getting playing in the daytime with the regular music.
Yes, they didn't know where to place that song at the time.
Right.
Wally Roker was our radio guy. I don't know if you know Wally.
I don't.
He was trying to work me on urban radio, and urban radio completely rejected me.
Right.
So the label didn't know. This was a brand new bag. There's no Latin hip-hop or freestyle stations. You had rock stations, R&B stations, folk stations, jazz stations, old school. So there was no space for us. And the only thing that saved us was your mix shows.
Right, at that time.
That's what blew life into it. That was the feeding, that started. So at that time, Spring Love didn't really pop off. And then, of course, Dreaming of Love went ahead. I think that was the only three that came on.
Second album, In My Eyes.
Tell me, what do you see? And I wanna show you, girl. And I wanna know you tonight. When you kiss me, girl, you just don't know how you make me feel.
I want to be the one.
I wanna be the
had a ballad on there too.
Love Me for Life.
Each one of those songs has a legitimate story behind it and legitimate history behind it.
It seems like each one gets more successful as they keep going. Is that right? Or did you have some down? Did you go, oh, whoa, and then have a bad? Because I Love You has to be your biggest moneymaker? Is that an assumption or is that correct?
Well, I mean, it's a bittersweet thing. At the time, you know, people don't know during that period when I went to number one, it was probably the highest career-wise position I could go. But emotionally and psychologically, it was the worst for me. I was in the most miserable point of my life. I mean, literally. And to show you the dichotomy and the polarity that we really do live in. And the universe chose that period to give me my spanking for all of my misgivings that I had done. So, you know, the lesson in that was no matter how high you get, you can be checked. And at that time, it checked me. It checked me in more ways than one. But you're correct. It was supposed to be my Grammy time. It was supposed to be my Grammy time. But
it was that caliber of a record.
Yes. But I couldn't get there because, like I say, all of those elements that you say worked against me, from radio, television, those things worked against me. And then during that period was the period where I kind of got a little bit bold enough to tell the record label, I'm kind of tired of you fucking me out of all my money. And they didn't like it. They were used to me being that slave. And so when I approached them to say, hey, look, I don't want to leave the label, but you got to do better by me. Making 8 cents off my own music is not a good deal. 8 cents a sale, 8 cents a record. So, and then out of my 8 cents, they made me pay for all the expenses. So I was never going to see a dollar. So I didn't understand the game, you know, and you don't go in the game without understanding the rules. So they took advantage of me. But by that time, I had a little money saved, and I was supposed to be, let's just say they got me for maybe $50 million.
I hear it from everybody. I hear that every single person.
That's right.
I hear
That's
from
right.
signed that,
and they never got their judgment day. They never got their judgment.
And some of them lost their, you know, the guys. Other people are controlling the, you know, they don't get any of the royalties. Yes. And I think
absolutely
my best one, I think, was Cosmo from Nucleus. Yeah. He tells a story.
That's right.
He tells a story, and I didn't get the story because he didn't tell me the story. But he said, "I got my master's back." And I said, so how'd you get your man? Well, we were not going to talk about that. I thought that was one of the most telling right there, that someone actually went and took their shit from somebody. I thought that was great. He didn't have to say it, but I knew what he was talking about.
I know the kid who produced the Cosmos record, with Wiki, Jam on it and all that stuff. Amos Larkin, he was my neighbor, grew up with him. So all of these elements played a part. And, I didn't know what was coming. I was a young man in mind. I didn't know business like that. I didn't understand the music business and how it really worked. Even the payola parts, I didn't know there was an indie and this guy and that guy. We just thought you put it out there and it was about the music. Well, it never was, and it still is not today.
It's all about relations and nothing
relations
more.
And money.
Well, the relation, that's part of it. It's all part
that's right.
of it. It's all
it's a connection, and that's just the way it is. That's
These days, radio stations wouldn't survive without the money that records puts towards the artist in promotional value in the market based on how high you are on the waitings list and important to the charts.
That's right. Absolutely. So back to the Spring Love. You know, how many home runs can we hit to stay afloat? Because, you put one home run, you say, hey, I'm the real deal. You put two home runs, I'm the real deal. Hey, I should be getting paid. The fourth one, hey, what's going on here? I can't keep pulling a rabbit out of my hat. This thing has it's time sensitive here. Normally a ball player only lasts for so long. And a recording artist has his window. He has his period that he's supposed to come up. He comes up and he bears his fruit and he makes enough money and he goes on to do other things. But if you get knocked for a loop and you get knocked out and then time passes, you wake up, things have moved on. Things have moved on.
So Because I Love You, was it a number one?
It was a number one. It was a number one.
You wrote it.
I did not write that.
Oh,
that was written by an up and coming producer that I had picked, and I saw him and I heard some of his music. Warren Allen Brooks. He was from Tampa, Florida.
Go Bucks!
And I had known Warren.
Go Bucks! I'm a huge Tampa Bay Buccaneer fan.
They suck. That's right.
Come on, man.
Come on, man. They suck. That's all.
Is that your team?
No.
Okay.
No. I actually have two teams that I really like. I like Green Bay. Of course, I like Cam Newton. Can't stand New England. Can't stand them. Ugh. Makes me vomit. But guess what? They're really good. They are really good.
Oh,
so,
that Super Bowl was amazing. I didn't like it. I didn't like them. I didn't like anything. That all changed in that last Super Bowl. That everything changed.
Yeah. But Because I Love You definitely was a number one record. I heard that record in 1986, and I only heard the first verse of it. So when Warren played it to me at the time, of course I wasn't pop ballad interested at that time. And I always told him when he played it for me on the piano, I said, Warren, one day that record's going to be big. You're going to be big, man. Trust me. And Warren was, I don't know, he don't like me to say, but Warren was manic depressant. So, I would catch him from time to time crying, this and that. And of course he wanted to make it. And I said, man, you're good, man. You're going to make it one day. I said, you're a great writer. So, by this time, he and I had split up as a writing team. I did a record with him called Boy Toy on Macola Records out of California, Don McMillan. And Warren and I put it out as a group called Friday. But it didn't make much noise at all. And then I didn't see Warren for about 3 years. And I was gone on to be successful. And I got a phone call one day, and somebody said, Warren is in the hospital, and he was suicidal, and all this kinds of stuff. And I said, well, where is he? And he says he's down in Tampa, and the label said this guy's trying to get in contact you, and they want to call you. His name is Warren Brooks. And I said, wow, it's Warren. And I called the hospital, and I talked to him, and he was a little down. He said, Steve, I don't have no money, this, and I'm, depressed. He said, I hear your records on the radio all the time, and, I apologize, whatever happened between us and that kind of stuff. So I said, well, what do you need? He said, well, I don't have nothing. I said, what happened to all the songs and stuff you did? He said, man, all that book of all those songs, I threw them in the trash. I said, no way, dude, you're good. At that time, that was right before the Love and Emotion album. So I was getting ready to do that third album. So I said, what do you need? He said, I'll send you a keyboard. So I bought a keyboard from Sam Ash, and I flew it down to him. And then I bought him a little drum machine so he could have something. And I said, well, I asked the hospital. I said, well, then what does he need to get out? What does he need to do? And by that time, I had a place called B-Land down in Lauderdale, out in Davie. And I said, well, I'm on the road right now. I'm on tour. But what I'm going to do is I'll call my groundskeeper and the people that's running the studios. I said, I'm going to send you to my house. You're going to recuperate at my house. So, excuse me. So I sent him down there, and he recuperated. And he wrote 7 songs on that album. Excuse me, 1 second.
Take your time, Stevie. Take your time.
So his pain came out in that album. And I said, Warren, I want to do the Because I Love You song. I said, can you remember it? He said, yeah. He said, I'll never forget that song, Steve. So we did that song. And that song made him a millionaire. He changed my life, and I changed his life. It was the best. He was the best then. I mean, if you listen to that Love Emotion album, if you go into look at the credits, he wrote 7 songs in that album. 7. He Broken Hearted, Love and Emotion, practically all of them. He was a dynamo, and he went there, he recuperated. He went to the hospital, he got his medicines correct. And he went on. I mean, it changed his life. But we hadn't seen each other for 3 years before then. And I said, you go to my place, and you're going to go down there. And he stayed there, and I tell you, the universe has a way of putting people together, the right combination of things. You understand? And he did, and it changed his life. And he changed my life. He gave me the biggest record chart-wise that I've ever had. Chart-wise, the biggest record I've ever had. And I love him to this day. He's still a friend. I talk to him, and he's doing well. And he's a blessing to me.
Thank you, Stevie. Appreciate that.
Mm-hmm.
I got your letter from the postman just the other day. So I decided to write you this song, just to let you know exactly the way I feel, to let you know my love's for real, because I love you, and I'll do anything. I'll give you my heart, my everything, because I love you. I'll be right by your side, to be a light, to be your guide.
I guess Pitbull came to you and you guys redid the classic Spring Love together. Now,
Yeah.
does that make you any more money based on the way things have changed? Did Pitbull get you put up set on that record so you could enjoy some of the marks too, some of the points?
Pitbull, Stevie B, Spring Love. From the minute that I seen ya, I was sweating ya like a freshman that's a senior. I couldn't even sleep waiting for the next day just to see ya, girl, just to see ya. When you walk by my heart, skip the beat like a scratch CD. I was knee deep in them 4 letters L-O-V-E, sprung on Spring Love, damn, she got me.
I remember when we first started, you came to me and you were broken hearted. I took you in and wiped all your tears away. I gave you loving more than any other gave. Don't you know I'm the one and I love you, girl. I don't care what they say, you know you are my world. Come back home to the one who loves you more and more. So you see that it was me you were searching for.
You know, it did not.
Oh, okay.
And you know, I'll say it this way. You know, I love Pitt, and I appreciate his success. But you know, he approached me, and he grew up in Miami. He approached me to do the record. And he said, Stevie, I grew up on a diet of Miami Sound Machine and Stevie B. That's what he told me when he called me.
Sure.
And I said, really? You know, and this was before he kind of like blew up. I say 09, and then going into 08, 09, 10. Pitt was still doing those, the dance truck, and he would have features of everybody. He was trying to find a lane, and he found it. And then, of course, and I think he was going through some changes with ATV, the label, and things like that. And I thought he would do more to help promote it. And at that time, and I'll just say that, and I love Pitt, but you just got to tell it like it is. He dropped the ball.
Gotcha.
He dropped the ball. Where he could have, like I did to Warren, because at that time, you know, we needed that. We needed somebody to come from our ranks, from our loins, to bring us up, just like the rappers do with all of their old school people. It just, for some reason, they won't embrace us. They won't take us. The old schoolers, we need that to keep us relevant. I mean, he could have sent me to a whole nother tax bracket by embracing the record that he asked me to do. But he got bigger and bigger and bigger. He didn't help me with the record. I tried hard. I tried to push it in there, you know, and and I reached out to him. And like I say, he was excited about it at one point. And then all of a sudden, you know, he went up into those degrees, into those dimensions. But you know, the higher you get sometime with your charity, you know, on top of that mountain is an ice cap, you know, and your heart needs to stay warm for that water to reach down back to the valley. And at that time, I really needed him to help. He didn't know that, you know, he didn't know that I really needed that at the time. And, you know, and he stepped away and he walked away.
Gotcha.
So for a homeboy, let's just say, Pitt, if you hear this interview, you disappointed me, man. You know, you were close. I don't know the reason why you walked away from it. But I love you, brother. And you don't know, I'm very proud of you. I'm proud of anyone that can work through this matrix and be successful. The odds are working against you in many ways, especially from us coming from South Florida, being Latino, being Cuban, being men of color, men of flavor. I call this the men of flavor, not no bland ass rednecks and whoever else wants to discriminate. No, we don't discriminate, brother. We use everything in the seasoning cabinet. We use paprika. We use all of it. And there are people that just want to be bland. Now, well, they can be bland. I never was like that. And for Pitt, he should have understood that. And for me, I got to tell you, you dropped the ball. I was disappointed. You know. And if you get this message, you hear this, holla at me.
I was just gonna say, holla at your boy. Let's get that squashed.
Holla at your boy. So even to this day, so he moved up into the heavens, but sometimes the heavens are very, very cold up there. It's cold. He needs to come back down here where the people are still breathing warm, the warmth of charity and the warmth of, you can say, if I'm the king of freestyle and you grew up on me down there, you didn't know, sometimes the king even needs a hug every once in a while.
Right.
So, like I say, I thought he was going to embrace it. He says it in his interviews all the time that he grew up on freestyle, blah, 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 but he didn't do shit. You didn't do shit. You could have grabbed freestyle. He could have grabbed freestyle right now. He got satellite radio. He plays it. But I'm talking about use his resources. I've reached out to him to do concerts with us. We're doing 8,000 and 10,000 seats arena. I told Pitt, I say, look, I left messages. Me and you do it together. It's like I'm out here by myself sometimes. And I said, let's do it together. You're mega wealthy now. I did okay, but not to the levels that you went. So now you're supposed to be my leader. You're supposed to be the leader of all those Latinos that you say. You can go to Puerto Rico and do hurricane. Well, shit. Freestyle music had a fucking hurricane too. We had a fucking hurricane, a tornado, and everything else. And there's a whole genre of music here that's just being overlooked. Of course, through the internet and people like yourself who grew up in it, we defined the lives of many people, even his. So how could you just turn your back like that and walk away and act like now that you got private jets and shit? Ain't no freestyle artist got no private jets. Most of them can't even afford a private car, let alone a private jet.
Let's talk.
So don't forget your root. Don't forget his roots of the things that influence his life. And I'm just saying that as being on the real. I'm not doing it out of jealousy. Believe me, I don't need shit from Pitt. I'm self-contained. I live in a $2 million house. I got Mercedes-Benz and everything else. What I need, brother, is your appreciation and your love. And your resources will help me realize some of the things that I want to do at 60 years old. He's got a school right here in Vegas, right? That he opened up. In my town. Never invited me one time to come out.
Sure.
You don't know, I was just in Miami last week doing big concerts. Still doing it. These people don't reach out to me. They reach out to the people in their super hyper space.
Yep.
I don't fucking live in hyperspace.
Right.
I live here with my family. I live here with people. I still contact people. Should I contact a few more people and say hi and hello and I love you? Yes, I should. I could do better. But I'm a grown-ass man. I know when I make mistakes. I'm not fucking Donald Trump. I know when I make mistakes, and I know when I can say, hey, to the world. I say it through my music. I ain't never been ashamed to show that wear my heart on my sleeve. That's who Stevie B is. If anybody wanted to know what Stevie B is, and sorry for my rant, if anybody want to know who Stevie B is, and you know I'm talking about them, that 1.5 will take you there. Pure love. I love people. I love things. Sometimes I don't love them, but I have the love of my heart that the universe has in it. It shows us every day, but we're destroying it. Relationships. People don't even we can talk technically to anybody all over the universe. People talk less. They don't even talk no more. They just be spelling each other all day.
Yeah.
Texting. You just spelling. You know what a spell does to you. You better ask Harry Potter. You want to put a spell? That's what we're doing. We're just spelling all day, spelling. Ain't nobody talking. You can't talk through a spell. You got to get on the phone and talk to the human being so he can hear your inflection. They want to hear your heart. A few seconds ago, I cried because I was thinking about my friend, of what he went through and what I went through and what most of us have gone through. Everybody has a season. Everybody. I don't care who you are. And I don't care how big you are. Everybody need to hear that you love them. Everybody want to hear I love you. I don't care how bad of it. You can be a badass. Think all them badass rappers and all that, they ain't got people telling them they love them? They care about them? and man, say, man, I see you. I see you. I see you, and I feel you. This is what has happened to the world. This is what has killed us all. And for whatever reason, Pitt didn't reach out to me. Hey, my dog, call me and just say it, brother. And if I did something to you, I apologize. I ain't scared to say it. Oh, such and such, Stevie, you did such and such. And I say, man, if I did that, I fucked up. If I did that, I screwed up. And is there any way I can clean that up? If it was that bad and I can't clean it up, then I understand. I'll walk away. I say, damn, dude was right. I screwed that up bad. He ain't got no reason to talk to me again. But if it's not, believe me, brother, I'm a human being. I'm sensitive about shit like that. My family will tell you. And my real friends will tell you too. So
I cry at movies, man.
I cry all the time. Let me know that I'm still a human being. When I don't cry, I say something is wrong with you. When I don't cry, that's that salt that comes out of you drink fresh water and cry salt water. Pee salt water. But there's something about salt. Saline cleans. Salt cleanses. That's why they put salt all over the meat when they want to cure it. Salt cures. Yeah. And that's why you cry those salty tears. So I cry a lot of salty tears. I just cried a few minutes ago. I ain't scared to cry. Shit. I feel good after I cry. I feel fucking great. A good cry? Sometimes I make myself go cry sometimes. Just to let me know that I'm still human.
A hurricane came through 1989 or 90 called House New Jack, and Power 106 changes their format from freestyle, and Power 96 also changed from a freestyle leaning radio station into the New Jack era. And it sort of, how long did it take? Once that happened, you put out, if I'm not mistaken, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 albums? 8 albums once freestyle was sort of eroded from the radio. Did you release 8 albums?
Yes.
From Healing, Funky Melody, Right Here, Right Now, It's So Good, Stevie B and Friends, Forever in Love, This Time, The Spring Love 2000, and then Terminator in 09. Is that the last album you did?
No, I have 2 or 3 after that.
Well, your Wikipedia needs to be updated, sir.
Well, I don't know who's doing Wikipedia. I didn't do it, but I have a album called The King of Hearts. I have another album called SOS. I just finished the album, and then I'm working on a classics album now of all the songs that we were talking about earlier that influenced my life. I just finished the Kenny Rogers, Through the Years, The Temptations, My Girl already. I'm going to do Lionel. I'm just going to pick like 15 or 20 songs just to leave it as my legacy to let people know. I say, Stevie, because you asked me that question, what music influenced your life? And I'm doing an album with that right now.
My influence, a guy from Detroit came here. There was a station called KSTN AM after K when I worked on KSTN. And KSTN was the song that played Planet Rock in 1980, but they played also Air Supply, and then Christopher Cross, and then One Way Cutie Pie, and then RJ's latest arrival, Shackles Back to. The feeling was good, but he didn't step into the country lane, so that's where I was fed. My Soul Sonic Force and stuff came through. Happened to have, luckily, an AM radio station that would venture out in 1980 and play that because this guy was from Detroit. I'm an Air Supply pop kid. I don't lean back to rock. So the poppier and the softer, the better. I love Public Enemy. I was all for the movement of getting that stuff played on the radio. Now I wonder what the hell I did. I hear this mumbling shit on the radio and I'm like, oh.
You're a revolutionary, man.
I talked to everybody about it. Everybody I've had on the show. We had Lonzo on the show from World Class Wrecking Crew, Cosmo, Stevie D. Lundy from the Force MDs. I just had Prince Marky D last Friday from the Fat Boys, who's one of the nicest guys ever. Who else did we have? I get a UTFO, Doc Ice from UTFO.
Wow, you're going way back.
I got Connie on. She was great. One song we talked about for an hour and how she did it.
I know the story with Connie. That's the same guy that did the Nucleus, Amos Larkin.
Well, that's when you said Amos Larkin. I need to get Amos Larkin on the show. He's somebody I need to talk to.
I'll shoot you his info. You can call him direct.
Please do. He's one of the guys that is he part of Magatron?
He was a part. See, he was the producer down there because he was with Henry Stone.
Right.
So
the Henry Stone story we've covered. Amos Larkin, how old was he at that time?
Amos was young. Man, he must have maybe been 19.
Yeah.
But Henry had, Betty Wright and Casey and the Sunshine Band, and he was one of them old Jews that was ripping Betty and them off for he was getting that money and ripping them off long time ago. long time ago. Amos went to his studios. He used to sneak in the studio and record and get his chops. He learned, and Amos was a bass player. You know, he lived about 2 blocks from me. I grew up with him.
Oh, okay.
So Amos was the first one to leave my little community and then go up to Miami, get in to what it would be in the Miami R&B scene, which was Betty Wright, all the urban acts that was really doing what they call WEDR and all the black radio back in then. He was in that little clique. Of course, Henry had his finger on the pulse down there, dominated. And he was the only ball game in town. But Amos came up in that garden.
Hey, it got away from me. Jaya, If You Leave Me Now, was one of the most incredible songs at that time to come out on the rhythm format. Who is Jaya?
Jaya is Louise Ramsey. And how Jaya came about was when I went to San Jose up there by John Christian, Hot 97, and I passed through San Jose probably in 1988, 7. Was invited to go to a show, and I met this Filipino kid on the way out. They had for the first time I went to San Jose, I probably drew about 100 people. Big disappointment. And it was at the San Jose Fairgrounds with John from Upstairs Records. And on the way out, in the fairgrounds, they had these little halls, what they were really barns. Long story, a little bit longer. I went in to see why nobody was at my show, but everybody was at this event. And I went in, and all these high school kids was just partying, the big speakers and all that. And this kid, Filipino kid, was in the back with just like a keyboard stand and one little keyboard. And I was in the limousine. I made the limousine pull in. So I said, "Hey, you know how to play that thing?" And he said, "Yeah." He said, "I'm pretty good." He's like 19-year-old kid. And I said, "What's going on here?" He said, "A high school student got killed, and they were doing a fundraiser to celebrate him and all that." And I guess he knew them, and he had his keyboard there, whatever else. So I say, "I'm Stevie B, whatever it is." And I say, "You write music? You play music?" He said, "Yeah, I try to produce some stuff, blah blah blah." And just so happens he had a cassette in his pocket. I took it in the limo and I put it in. Talking to you on the phone, I like the way you talk to me in that little girly voice. Love me for life. I said, "Oh shit."
Oh, I wish that you'd be mine, only mine. It feels so right. And won't you tell me right now, will you be my girl?
I said, "You wrote that?" He said, "Yeah, I wrote it and produced it." I said, "Tell you what." I said, "You want to go on the road with me? Maybe 2 nights before Christmas." He said, "Really? Where?" I said, "I'm going to New York in the morning." And I said, I want you on the plane." And I said, "By the way, if you have a drummer, I need a drummer too." He said, "I have a friend. His name is Danilo." All Filipino kids. And that night he called Danilo. The next day, they flew out to New York with me. Danilo is still my drummer today. Danilo's girlfriend at the time was Jaya. She could sing. He said, "Oh, my girlfriend could sing, blah, blah, blah." Eventually, Jaya came on the road with me. She didn't go by the name Jaya. We gave her the name Jaya. Her name is Louise Ramsey. Her mother is one of the biggest Philippine. She's like the Johnny Carson. She was like the Johnny Carson of the Philippines. And I say, "Well, this is later on, they were on the road, and I say, let me hear Louise. She could emulate, and the Filipinos, karaoke, they're untouchable.
Oh, yeah.
The bands emulate every artist that we ever had, better than them, better than the originals. And she sang the Anita Baker song for me, and she just killed it. I'm like, how old are you? She's like, oh, I'm 18, 19, whatever. Eventually, Louise came on the road with me, not Jaya. And I say, I'm going to produce you one day. Now, because, Love Me for Life went on to be a charted record. I wind up having all Filipinos as my band, and most of them are still my band members now. They were just a community that embraced me. I embraced them. Very humble people, talented people, smart people. I love the culture. I hadn't met Filipinos before. I lived in South Florida. So when I came to the West Coast, it just blew my mind, the multi-racial, multicultural.
They no Filipinos you have no Filipinos in Florida?
No Filipinos here. No Filipinos. A lot of them is not pilotos.
It's Filipino in Florida.
In Florida.
In Florida.
There was a lot of them, a pair of flyers.
My godmother is Filipino. Jovita Estante,
Really?
my
So
godmother.
Then you know what I'm talking about.
I know what you're talking.
That whole culture of food and culture and talent, it was just rampant and untapped. So the record company, I told the record company, you remember you told me about MC Zeus and all of, Zeus was down at my camp in B-Land. Jaya was down, Louise was down there where it became Jaya. So my whole band is there. They all lived on my complex. I had a whole 13-acre place. And they all were there. And my idea now was I'm going to start producing. I had this kid, Corel was in my camp. They were part of my dancers and stuff like that. So I said, well, I'm going to start producing. So everybody said, well, they're not going to accept the Filipino kid. They hardly don't even accept you, Stevie. What make you think they're going to give a shot to somebody with some looking Asian? They ain't ready for that. So I told the record company I had this girl, she's really good and all this. And I sent them the picture and they rejected her. I sent them a picture and they rejected it. But they had this Italian girl that they were doing. I don't know if you remember, there was a little wave of lambada.
Chorando se foi quem dia só me fez chorar. Chorando se foi quem dia só me fez chorar.
That hit where everybody danced really close and all that. So they were trying to get an Italian girl out of New York that now the record company think that they got the eye of the tiger and they got this young girl that they want to produce, and Marvel Comics was involved. They were going to do a thing called the Nightcat, and it was going to have this Mediterranean looking girl with the long black hair, and they were going to go train her in New York and whatever else, and they needed a song. So they say, Stevie, can you do a song for the Nightcat project? I said, yes, I'll do it. All the whole time they sent me a demo with the girl's voice, and I got to tell you, she fucking sucked so bad. I'm like, I got a girl here that can fucking sing like Anita Baker. She is a star. And later on, she became a superstar. So I said, you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to put Louise's voice on the demo. And the demo was, If You Leave Me Now.
You say you're leaving me now. Say you're leaving me.
If you leave me now,
Say
girl,
you're leaving me.
I close my eyes and I just lay down and cry. If you leave me now.
Hey, there's a version out there of you doing that, isn't there?
I wrote the song first for me. It was it. You see? I said, if you leave me now, girl. She said, if you leave me now, boy. So I wrote the song, and the song was really a song I wrote about my ex-wife, who, when I broke up with her, I know I hurt her dearly. Dearly. I hurt her bad.
Did the road kill your marriage?
And that's what I wouldn't say that. I would just say that it wasn't meant to be, and if it was meant to be, I would have stayed. And I was young and got married, maybe a little too early. It was no fault of hers. It was just the calling of a young man.
Sure.
And once I got bitten, or the apple bit me, or I bit that apple, I couldn't stay. And the hardest thing I had to do was tell her that. And she, and that song came from that. So when I wrote it, I was really kind of writing it kind of like for myself, but I said, that'll fit. Just change it from girl to boy, and I put her voice on it. I didn't do it as a demo. They didn't know it was going to be her single that I was going to release from my label. And when I send that demo in, the minute they got it, they say, Stevie, we just got this demo, and, you know.
Hey, that's racist, Stevie.
I know, right?
That's right. Come on, Stevie. Now listen, Stevie.
I'm race. I'm multiracial.
That is so funny.
I'm multiracial. I can be racist. I can be.
Keep that again. Put that. I'd like you to do it exactly like you did it again. Okay, so how did
they say? Stevie. Yeah, we just got the nightcap demo. Who is that? I say, do you like it? Oh shit! We love it. Who the hell is it? We love it. I say, that's the same fucking girl you told me had a flat ass, and you rejected her. Oh, Jesus Christ! Well, all right. You got to deal with her. They signed it right then. They gave me a deal on Jaya. From that, right there, just like that, boom, you got a deal. And from then, they were supposed to be my partners. I gave them Zeus, Jaya, I gave them all kinds of stuff, and they just fucked me. Mm-hmm. But Jaya went on to be a superstar. She was in my camp, and she fucked me too. Just to make a long story a little bit longer.
You mean fucked you? Like?
I don't play like.
I'm just playing, man.
That was Donnie's girlfriend. I didn't play like.
I just play, man.
The record company. When we started to fight with the record company, like I said, if you read the book, you'll see that the record company threatened her if she stayed with me, that her career would be ruined. And of course, she stayed with the label, and her and I fell apart, and her career was over by then here, and she went back to the Philippines where she became a big superstar. But I didn't get to make the millions I was supposed to make off of her, that I deserved. But that's okay. The universe has blessed me in so many ways beyond. The universe is very just. And when she does interviews and all that, she don't talk about Stevie B started her career.
Oh, come on. Really?
But no.
Oh,
these people are, yeah. I saw some of her interviews and stuff like that, But I get it. Hey, it is what it is.
Man.
It is what it is.
I've had little tiny stuff just stay with me forever, and I hold on to it, and it's all negative.
I got stuff to this. I know. You're right. It bothers the fuck out of me.
Hey, no, but I mean, you've got a bunch of them. I've just got a few, man.
Well, I've done quite a bit for quite a few people, but I'm not Donald Trump. I don't need that grandizement kind of stuff. Your charity is supposed to be charity, and your good spirit is supposed to be good spirit. Now, if you screw me out of money, I'm going to let you know. Either I was going to sue you and all. I didn't sue any of them. I said, you know what? That's not what Stevie B does.
I got a 1.5. I'm just going to take care of all this.
Yes, okay? You see what I'm saying?
Yes.
A 1.5 will make all that go, it'll melt all that away.
Hey, what song are you most proud of, Stevie B?
Every fucking single one of them that I can go in the studio and finish. To me, a work of art.
You're not hurting anybody's feelings. One has to stick out. You got to give me one. Which one do you like to perform? Or which one does the crowd like you to perform best? Is it the same song?
Yeah.
And?
You forgot who was the original Mr. 305. Stevie B was. And it wasn't popular to say that. Somebody else made it popular, but that's all right.
That's going to be the title when I post this, the original Mr. 305.
We had the original boy bands before Backstreet and all those. Nobody was doing that, but I did. Remember, I was in the Filipinos and the Latinos and in those hip white folks. Everybody that Donald Trump hates loved me, including the majority of his, I don't do Alabama and all that kind of stuff. But I had a huge white following. Huge. So I never gave you the song that everybody asked for the most is Spring Love.
I knew it. My favorite too. Hoo, 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 hoo.
Spring Love is that song that wherever I go, and I'm headed to Brazil next week for a 10-city tour starting on the 8th of December. Even in Brazil, even places where people don't even speak English, Spring Love is that one.
Transcends.
Yes. Still to this day, even here. They wait for Spring Love. I say, what everybody waiting for? I say, I could have did Spring Love and everybody could have went home. They're like, yeah, you're right. thank you for inviting me, and say hi to all the fans, and thank you for all of your support for the last 30 years. You have truly given me a life and made me to be able to afford to live my creative dreams and my material dreams. So through the years, I just want to let you guys know you never let me down, and hopefully I'll never let you down.
I appreciate you a lot. Thank you for taking the time and telling me the story of Freestyle.
You think the Right Outta Compton movie should have been made? We should make. There should be a movie. This is what I'm talking about.
Hey, well, why don't you do it? Are you?
Let me finish. Let me finish talking. If Pitt loved us so much and he knows the history, why won't he sit with me and let's do a movie together about this? You don't know how big that would be.
Yeah, Pitbull.
About what we're talking about. Do you understand? He's got the wherewithal. He's got the connection.
He got the money.
Why wouldn't he reach with me and say, and he got the money? It would probably take about $2 million, $2.5 million, $3 million to do this movie. Why wouldn't he reach to me and say, Stevie, you came from my town, blah, blah, blah. You raised yourself up. They raised you up to be the king. You know what I'm going to do with you? I'm going to embrace you. Like he did Enrique. Enrique's from where? Argentina? Where's he from?
I don't know.
Whatever. He didn't grow up 20 miles from Pitt. I did.
Right.
Why wouldn't he say, Stevie B, we finna bring you up? And not only are we going to bring you up, we're going to bring Freestyle up. Matter of fact, I'm taking you with me on the road when we do this, and we're going to take this Mr. Worldwide, Mr. 305. We're going to take this everywhere. And I'm finna bring you up to celebrate what you have brought up to success. You at the top of the food chain. You are the Jay-Z of this industry. You are the Beyonce of freestyle. You are the top of the food chain. Pitt is the top of his food chain right now in that dance music. Now, why wouldn't he come to me and sit with me and say, man, we finna take this thing and we're gonna put our shoe in it and we're gonna ride this till the wheels come off. And Stevie B, you gonna bring up everybody else. Shannon, Lisa, Expose, Cynthia, Johnny O, Coro, TKA. You don't think they need an injection of love? What is wrong with you people? You're riding around in your fucking private jets and riding around that. You don't think, you gotta look back down into the valley. People are thirsty. People are hungry. They're hurting. They're hurting. I did good. I'm okay. Most of the freestyle acts still look fantastic, still in great health, still energetic. They just looking for somebody to reach in and give us their hand, somebody that made it, like a Pitt. Mark Anthony came from us. Mark Anthony did all the background vocals for a lot of the freestyle acts. They know. Mariah Carey was in there with fucking Brenda K. Starr. Mariah should have loved Brenda.
Right. And
brought her all the way up. Pitt, Mark Anthony was in freestyle. They didn't do well in freestyle. He tried. But they saw us. Mark Anthony superstar. Jennifer Lopez and all them, they all know us. But they won't even acknowledge us. They don't even acknowledge us. When they want to throw a little freestyle beat in some of their little shows and shit, they'll do it. But they won't go on TV. They won't invite us into their circles. For what reason would they do that? Most of the freestyle artists are just excellent people. You don't hear all that drama coming from us. You don't hear all that bullshit coming from the freestyle people. Now, why wouldn't you invite us into your success? We invited you into ours. Brenda invited Mariah.
Yeah, what's with the loyalty?
Thank you.
No, serious though.
So nobody ain't never said. See, a lot of them scared to say it. I ain't scared to say shit. I don't need shit from Jennifer. I don't need shit from Pitt. Now, all of them running together now, when Pitt wasn't shit, they wouldn't even talk to Pitbull. Now, all of a sudden, he's the ambassador. Okay, you the ambassador? Then guess what? Don't be fucking like Donald Trump. Your ego is so big now you can't look at other people now? Can't get you on the phone now? Before, when you was looking for me, I answered the phone. I answer the phone for everybody. No matter how big I am. And I ain't Pope. My point is this. We have a bigger story. There are things that we're supposed to be doing. And this is the time right now where content is successful all over the world. There's no more problems. People can communicate. We can make a lot of money. Why do you want to turn you want to go help everybody else, but you won't even help your own family? Nigga, I'm from your neighborhood. Don't be talking about you're going to bring up Miami and going to bring up your hood. You better go back and look again. There's people out there that need your help, that deserve your help. You come to my town, you build a fucking school, and you don't even invite me here? You don't even invite me? I live fucking 5 minutes from the strip. Stevie B, I got a fucking school I'm building. Why don't you go over and mentor the kids? You don't think I can mentor kids?
Oh, I'd be pissed.
Motivate the kids?
I'd be pissed.
What?
I'd be pissed, man. You're well
Nigga,
within your
that's
right.
what I do. You understand? You understand? I ain't never told nobody this. The first time I'm ever saying this. But there's a time and place for everything. But if he get this and he hear this, you have an obligation to step back. And don't go help all these strange people that wasn't there when you was realizing your dream. When I was realizing my dream, there was people around me, and they came up. They became millionaires. They became somebody. They became. And I still look at them, and I still love them to this day. I don't turn my back because I'm riding on a private jet. I can ride on a private jet, and I can get fucking barefooted, and I still cut my grass.
Hey, you're damn good at it. You had a lot of practice.
You goddamn right. And believe me, I'll be cutting my grass from now on, as long as I got the time. And I'm saying that to say this, and I'm saying all this with love. Trust me, my heart is very, very open for a lot of things. But sometimes Big Brother got to tell little brother when he's making a mistake. He helping all these people that he don't even fucking know. He didn't know them. We are family members. We came up with the same seasonings. Same struggles. Freestyle music is suffering right now as a genre. As a concert, yes, we're doing business, but we don't even own that. One of my other Jewish brothers on that. He's a wonderful person, Alan Beck. Pacific Concert Group. Good people. But he ain't supposed to own our genre.
Well,
I love Alan.
Hey, why don't you throw him?
Listen. Let me say. Then why won't Pitt come to me and say, hey, what would it take to do 40 cities? Shows cost about $150,000 a show to do. So if we do 40 cities, that's $4 million, $5 million. Why don't you get Live Nation? Why don't you get one of your liquor sponsors? Why don't you get one of your Latino sponsors? All Latinos going to the shows. Why don't you get one of the beer companies, the liquor companies, somebody you accept and say, Stevie B, we're going to back this. T-Mobile, Sprint, somebody, get them to come with us.
Hey, Stevie, you
and let us own it.
Can you not?
Let us own it. Let us get that money coming out of there. Why somebody else got to get the money that's not even in our industry? Freestyle people don't own shit. And they get mad at me because they know how much money I make and they don't make that money. So some of them don't hate on me.
Well, why don't you start your own concert group and throw freestyle concerts and make all the money?
I did it, but you can't do it. You can't do it by yourself. You know you can't do it by yourself.
Yeah, I know.
Radio's not going to give you that love.
Right.
There's a connection in that love. You know what I'm talking about.
I do.
All right?
So
that is even thinking. Alan has that, and I respect that. He knows that. But guess what? I have a connection with him, but they're not going to do that kind of business with me. But Pitt could do it, and I'm going to put pressure on Pitt. And there's a few others out there that did well. They did well. Like I said, he don't owe me anything. He don't owe me shit.
Is there a song that was going against you when you were cutting songs, Stevie B, that you wish you would have cut at that time?
What do you mean? Certain music that I particularly wrote or somebody else?
Songs you might have been competing with on the chart that you go, oh, that shit is dope. Wish I'd have come up with something like that.
A whole lot of them.
Well, what's one that sticks out?
Justin Bieber had one that I thought that was so freaking great. I like the Daniel Bedingfield. If you are the one I love today. Yep. That record was big.
I had Egyptian Lover on the show, and somebody released a video of him the other day. I think he was in Paris or Germany or something. He's in a studio, and he's cutting Everything She Wants by Wham. They're cutting it on an 808, the keyboard. Bump, 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 bump. Bump, bump, Everything She Wants by Wham.
Smash.
It's fat. It sounds fat, man.
I'm telling you, they don't know to create. Look at all of the creativity that's got left behind.
Yeah.
World class wrecking crew.
Right.
All those guys that came through that whole little R&B dancey genre.
Sure.
Soul Sonic, the JJ Fadnam made it.
Yep.
Of course, the Shoop Girls with the out of New York.
Salt and Pepper.
Yeah, so they made it.
Michelle
but there was a whole little genre. Yeah, and even what's the name? Who just told me just did the Wham record?
Yeah,
all of them.
Egyptian Lover, man.
Egyptian Lover,
he's
and
deep.
then you got
he's
Snap,
deep, and he's a nice guy,
Snap,
man.
And Snap too.
Right.
One of the nicest persons that I met was Snap.
Is that one? Is that a guy?
That's the guy, Snap.
Snap,
the big brother.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. That's a great one, man. Oh, you can't
Oh,
you
God.
can't beat that when it came out. You can't beat that when it came out. I'm not sure about what was it? Did he do? Are they Rhythm is a Dancer? He's Rhythm is a Dancer
Rhythm
too.
is a dancer. Let me tell you something. One of the smartest and one of the best fucking musicians. He's the real deal musician. Play all the instruments.
Really?
I met him and his wife and their mother-in-law. And he's married to a white girl. And the mother-in-law, they fucking love this boy. They love him. I mean, they love it. They love him like honey. Good fucking people. Good, just real good original people. Just good people. I was backstage with him. We just did a casino run. Just the fucking nicest people. And Snap, he just was just the coolest fucking dude. I'm going to tell you, just the real deal. And you know who else was fucking cool? Yin Yang twins.
Oh, I bet.
Fun guys, no drama, no egos, no nothing. Kill the show.
And they got good weed.
And they always just, that's what break down all them egos. That's why everybody can get along. That's why everybody can get along. Sometimes you need that THC is what bring you back to reality sometimes.
Your favorite person to tour with right now? Not back then, right now. Or maybe it was the same person back then that it is today. Gotcha.
I mean, I just reached out to Taylor Dane to do the ballad with me.
Gotcha.
And I thought me and Taylor could do Through the Years together. It makes for a good duet.
Right.
And I would like to go out, me and Taylor Dane go out together because she has that audience and I have a certain kind of audience, and it would make a great blend, especially for our age group right now. She's going to go out on the tour for next year with us also.
I appreciate your time. Stevie B has been on the Old School Rewind. And hey, that motherfucker's going to tell you exactly what he thinks. I'll tell you that right now. Ain't that right, Stevie? Keep it real 100.
100 all day long.
You're the 100 emoji on the phone. I'll tell you that.
Thank you a lot.
Peace out,
Appreciate it.
man.
I remember when we first started. You came to me and
You've been listening to the Old School Rewind with Randy Bubba Black. Share and subscribe now at oldschoolrewind.com.